About your drive to work or how you get to a friend's house, is there something you would like to see changed? An upgrade to the infrastructure? Well, projects across the country will be getting money to make improvements as part of the new infrastructure bill. And today, NBC10 spoke with the man whose office has some sway over the decisions. NBC10's Lauren Meigs spoke one-on-one with Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Lauren, how does this money get distributed?
Well, Jacqueline, some of it goes through a funding formula for how much each state will get, but in other cases, there will be grants that go through the Department of Transportation. The Department Secretary Buttigieg leads.
It's a $1 trillion bill promising to help build and rebuild infrastructure. But now come the questions about where.
How do you determine which projects get funding and which don't?
Well, you know, even with a huge amount of investment like this, we have to prioritize. The taxpayer dollars are not infinite, and so we got to make sure they go to the highest and best use.
I spoke one-on-one today with Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, whose office will shepherd some of that funding to states and cities.
I can tell you that we are moving swiftly but responsibly because we're talking about a huge amount of taxpayer money. We're not going to get a chance to do this again in our lifetimes, I believe.
Secretary Buttigieg citing safety, economic development, equity, and climate issues as priorities when evaluating projects.
I know that you have said that this is a step towards also addressing the country's supply chain issues. Will projects that could immediately help to address that get priority?
It's certainly one of the things we're paying close attention to, especially as we continue in this climate where supply chain challenges are mounting.
Funding could go to transportation for goods and people. In our conversation, the secretary pointing to recent grants to upgrade 2 SEPTA trolley stops as the kind of thing they'll be able to do more of. I asked him about the money designated to reconnect communities that have been divided by highways like the Vine Street Expressway in Philadelphia.
One of them would be in Philadelphia's Chinatown neighborhood, where they are really hoping to get some funding. Have you looked at that project? Does it have a chance of getting some of this funding?
Well, I would say this is certainly the kind of project that has new resources to apply for thanks to the bill.
There will be competition for resources. I asked the secretary what residents can do to convince him projects in their neighborhoods deserve a green light.
Is it letters from constituents? If you get a call from a member of Congress, does that have your ear? What are the things that have convinced you that the projects are worthy of getting to the top of the list?
Yeah, well, ultimately, of course, it comes down to the merits of the project. But local leaders, congressional voices, and community voices are very powerful in communicating what the project would mean to them.
And he said it's the impact that could make a difference, and not just on place to place, but maybe on something like job opportunities, making the case for how a project would really impact the people who live there. I'm Lauren Meigs, NBC10 News.